us for these technical gremlins that creep in from time to time, bringing you a live show all the way from deep in the African bush isn't without its hazards and its trials and tribulations. But in any case, it's given us some time to have a look at some Senegal lapwing that are on this open area. Now, these birds are often seen or often heard and not that often seen, and it's because they're quite scarce. They become what's called locally common because they fly around together in these small little flocks of between 5 and 7 birds, mostly at night. They're active mostly at night. During the day, they tend to lie up, looking very similar to bits and pieces of dung. And at night time, you hear their calls, a very beautiful call that for years I couldn't actually place to a bird, to be quite honest, until a tracker friend of mine said that this is the bird. They favor these very short grass areas, and this is probably one of the most southerly portions of the range that they occur in. Generally, this bird is found in Zimbabwe and Mozambique, which lie to the north of where we are, the north and the east of where we are. So quite lucky for us to see them. And they feed mainly on termites. So they're termite-eating birds. I heard a very interesting fact from James the other day that he had found somewhere that stated that the weights or the biomass of termites is equal to the biomass of everything else out here living, that is, in the Kruger National Park. Isn't that amazing? And these birds are taking the most out of that particular opportunity by running around, probably able with those long legs to flick open bits and pieces of dung, to lift up a piece of dung, or to literally, and this makes more sense actually, if they are nocturnal birds mainly, they would be eating harvested termites, which are active mainly at night, cutting the grass short and taking it to their nests to begin their digestive process of the grass during the day. These birds would then feast on harvested termites mainly. That's what I'm saying. But from our Senegal lapwings to a fluff ball with Jamie.
For now, our fluff balls have disappeared, and I think they've gone to sleep in the thick grass, watched over by their long-suffering, very patient mother. Hold on, that's a cub. Is that a cub? Or is that her leg? I'm confused. What's going on there? It's her leg. It just looks so strange. I see how she's lying now. Now I understand. I was very confused for a second. I've got it now, but I mean, at first that really looked like a cub because it didn't look conceivably like it could be part of her body. But that's her right front foot that she's got stretched out to the side like that. Okay, so our little cubs have gone to bed. I think it's time for us to actually leave them. What we can do is try and get around to the other lionesses. And Javu, who is a new viewer, it is wonderful to hear from you, and I apologize once again on behalf of our team for the technical difficulties, but as you can imagine, live streaming from the middle of the African bush is very complicated. But Javu says that he's really enjoying this particular channel because they've never seen anything like it before, and that's because there definitely isn't anything like it anywhere in the world. It's lovely to hear from you. We would also love to hear where you are from. We just adore hearing about new viewers, and don't forget we are on twice a day, every single day. First thing in the morning for 3 hours, and then in the afternoon for our time. And I'm sure there will be people who can help you out in terms of time, depending upon where you are watching from. But we are on twice a day. Every day we have a marvelous collection of animal characters that we monitor or try to find you at least once a week, depending on which particular character you're talking about. But we've got leopards and lions, and at the moment the prospects for the next few weeks are absolutely incredible. We've got leopard cubs wandering about. We've got new lion cubs, clearly. We've got an older set of lion cubs bouncing about. And then, of course, all of the other marvels of the African bush, because it's not just about the big cats, although we do love them, but there's elephants and buffalo and all kinds of fantastic things. And we're very fortunate to be jumping on board when Steph is driving, which is a rare treat. You can pick his brains for all of the incredible information he's got stored there. What was that? Something moved. It sounded a bit bigger than a lioness, but perhaps just a lioness shuffling in the dry leaves. Could have been an elephant. Oh, I've actually only just seen the other lionesses from where we're sitting. If you go a little bit to the left there, are you going to be able to see them, Gert? Yes. Here we go. The lionesses are there. You can just make out movement, and there's a nose and a face. Oh, flop. I think it was her that made that noise. I think she just moved that branch and it rustled a lot of the dead leaves. So for now, I think we're going to leave our sleeping lionesses. Oh! Look at this, Gert. Up in the dead tree. That was the hawk eagle that was trying to catch the francolins. There they are, there's the male. And the female is also here. Our fantastic bird hunters, how exciting is that? Live safaris, you never know what's going to come tumbling out of the sky. And that francolin made an incredibly fortunate escape from two birds that are specialized francolin and guinea fowl hunters. Awesome! African hawk eagle, one of my favorite birds of prey. And they nearly got that francolin. And then the poor francolin, seeking refuge, nearly landed in the mouth of a hungry lioness. Not having a good day. But I think that it escaped them. That was so cool. Really exciting. In that thick vegetation, that francolin's heart must be beating frantically. Go ahead, Mike. Absolutely, Mike. Make your way towards the fire break. The best access is from there. We'll pull out. Tax made it a 2-vehicle lock. It's just myself currently, so we can actually stay here together, but you'll have a better view if I move. Sorry, guys, but at least you've got a beautiful bird of prey to look at. Mike, if you take Buffelshoek East and you come along there and then go west along the fire break, you'll see the 2-track easily. That was phenomenally exciting. There's one African hawk eagle. I don't think Gert can show you the second. I don't know if you can see it there. It's on the top of the dead tree a little bit further away. These particular birds of prey, yes, perfect, well done, awesome. And these particular birds of prey are specialized bird hunters, and they generally circle, one flying high and one flying low, and attack from several angles. And then they'll share their kill, because as with all raptors, they are monogamous and they mate for life. So whenever they work together to catch something like a francolin or a guinea fowl, they will then share that particular kill. That was awesome. Just goes to show, and this often happens to us, whenever you're sitting still, the bush actually provides you with the most incredible sightings. And they've missed out on breakfast for now. They're taking some time to smooth out ruffled flight feathers. And grooming is absolutely essential for these birds to maintain their streamlined shape and their agility. The name hawk applies. They are true eagles, but as the name hawk applies, they've got an incredible ability to whirl and weave and turn and duck and dive. Very agile in the air. Aren't they beautiful? I think African hawk eagles are one of the most beautiful birds of prey. It's that mottled white and brown colour, dark brown. They're absolutely stunning. And it's not often that we get to view them from this sort of proximity. I mean, this male, and I think it's the male because he's smaller, this male is sitting right above us. It's absolutely marvellous. We really don't often get this opportunity to look at them so closely. Look at that. Oh wow, is that incredibly bright blue sky. Oh, it's gonna fly. Off they go. And that marks the end, I think, of our hawk eagle sighting for now, but absolutely incredible. And just an S, we've been completely distracted. There's so many things to look at. Are there any birds that are that have become extinct in South Africa or are in danger of becoming extinct? Not that I don't know of any birds species that have gone extinct. There are several that are in serious danger of becoming extinct. All of our raptor species, as with pretty much anywhere in the world, are starting to face serious threats due to habitat loss, power lines, and in the case of vultures, serious poaching problems. So vultures are valuable for their, or valued, and they're not actually obviously, but they're valued for their traditional medicine use. It's absolute nonsense. It's thought that you can, if you make a potion out of a vulture brain, that you will be able to see into the future. And what people do is they poison carcasses and leave them out for the vultures, and they can kill 200 vultures at a time. That's very, very distressing practice that occurs here in South Africa, and it has put a lot of our vulture species on the red list in terms of really endangered, critically endangered species. The ground hornbills are also incredibly endangered, so there's about 1,500 left in the whole world. So whenever we see them, they're massive birds the size of turkeys, the biggest of the hornbill family. Whenever we see them, just remember that there are only so many individuals left in the whole wide world. Some of the smaller birds are doing absolutely fine. Most of the smaller birds are doing fine. The difficulty is we've got not only the habitat loss, you've got artificial forests like the ones in Johannesburg being created, which in turn completely messes with the local birds that would have been there originally, because they're being outcompeted by things like grey go-away birds and parrots and so on. Where's Mike gone? Sorry. I think he's gone and got a little bit lost. Just wait for him. Alright, I'm going to have to chat to him on the Game Drive channel, so we'll speed up this answer. Yes, so that messes with the natural balance of things. So it's not just habitat loss, it's a change of habitat, it's climate change, and it's poaching and destruction of the birds. But there's a lot of very, very wonderful organizations out there dedicated to protecting our bird species. Our cubs have gone to sleep, our lioness has gone to sleep, so we're going to let Mike come and take our place. While we chat, let's send you back across to Steph for an update.
Not everyone's gone to sleep, Jamie. Like we're quite wide awake over here, trying to have a look for where Karula went last night. Her tracks, unfortunately, do not come out on this road, and that's a pity, because I didn't see any tracks today at the dam wall, and we definitely didn't see any tracks around the camp when we left early this morning. So either she's somewhere into this thick area of bush over to the side, or we've missed something along the way. We've missed a clue. We've missed her walking across somewhere with these cubs. Nevertheless, she will come out absolutely again at some point, and then we'll find her and hopefully show it to you. Now, apart from flies, this is one of the times of the year that we have quite a big insect lull. We don't have a lot of insects around at the moment. There will be, I mean, you can stick your face into a bush over here and you'll pull out something that's creepy, crawly and quite scary. But for the most part, the insects now are taking their time to go through their various changes, to go through the various metabolisms, to hide up, and then as soon as summer starts, as soon as the temperature starts to increase and is at a certain mean average day and night, these insects will come out in their profusion And you have, ooh, these flies are driving me mad. You have definitely not as many multitudes of insects over a short space of time as you have in some of the more temperate areas. There's a squirrel that just went into this tree hole right on the main branch here. I'm just seeing if it'll come out. And let's see. They're quite reactive to vehicle movement and to noise, these tree squirrels. Let's see if it sticks their head out. This time of the morning, tree squirrels would be sunning themselves. I have no doubt that we scared this little squirrel into its hole coming up to this tree. I just got the tail end and a scrabble. No, not going to come out today. Well, it'll come out today, but only after we leave here, most likely. Let's carry on. Got a pesky fly, just one that's busy buzzing around, aiming for my nostril every time it comes around the front of my head. Let's just check this junction. This was basically the last area that I saw Karula's cubs come out, and Karula's tracks. They were heading in this direction here. But they don't come out here. In any case, let's carry on going. The purple roller here on top of the tree that we can't get too close. That's about as close as we're going to get. It does look like there's some tail streamers though. But I think just from the general size of this particular, there we go, it's a purple roller. You might notice in your screens a very white eyebrow patch. Large size, relatively large size. I know it doesn't look too big on your screens right now, but relatively big for a roller. And then the lack of tail streamers, those thin feathers down the sides of the tail. That makes that a purple roller, the largest roller that we have in this particular area. Deep mauve chest. Now just back onto those insects that we were talking about. We can start expecting to see a definite increase in insect activity from around about the middle of September, with the height of the insect activity basically around about the deep summer months. So January, February, March is when we have the most insect activity around, and then it's almost like a frenzy. These insects are just going crazy. It doesn't matter what these insects are busy with, from wood eating to hunting, they're just all over the place. Alright, I'm swinging onto quarantine to see if perhaps those tracks of Karula come out here somewhere. I must be honest, I'd love to be able to see those little cubs. I haven't seen her cubs yet in person. I also haven't seen those lion cubs that you've been watching with Jamie today in person. I haven't seen any of the Nkuhuma Pride's cubs at all the Styx Pride's cubs. With me having walking around on foot most of the time out here, seeing baby lion cubs and seeing baby leopard cubs is not something that you aim at doing during a bushwalk segment. Just on that, Herbert is on leave at the moment, and so we won't be doing too many bushwalks over the next couple of leaves. He's also having to take some time off to go and visit with his family and his children. He'll be back towards the end of the week, I think, over the weekend sometime, and we'll get those bushwalks out again. So no tracks here where we are. Jamie's very kindly offered for me to go back to the lion cubs as she's left the sighting. That's very kind of her. Right now, I have my eye set on trying to figure out where these leopard tracks go from last night. That's a bit of a better view of that purple roller. Let's go back a little bit. Oh no, man. Where are you going? flying there, not rolling at the moment. Just flying from tree to tree here across quarantine. They're quite territorial birds, and you find that what they're doing is from flying from one tree to another. It's not only displaying how beautiful and vibrant his colors are, but also how fit he is, and he's patrolling the edges of his territory to make sure that there's no imposter. The same purple roller that we were having a look at just a little bit earlier. Just still busy scanning over here. These open areas are notoriously difficult in actual fact to track things on, because animals are not confined to a game path. Leopard generally like to use game paths going from one place to another. But in this particular instance, they can literally walk across any part of the open area, and very often you miss where tracks have come out or gone onto an area because of that, and you have to get out and follow them one track for one track, which is time consuming, of course, instead of just being able to sort of intuitively know where to go and look for these things, or where it's most likely that you'll find one. Looking over the shoulder there, it seemed like a vulture, but there are no vultures in the air. We're almost exactly back where we first heard those impala calling this morning, which led us to that male lion that we found for you a few minutes ago. If I were to guess where Karula's tracks came out, this would be round about where they were heading. Now leopard, the male lion, when they're walking on a particular mission, also just walk in a straight line in the direction that they're going. And that was how we found or refound that male lion after losing him through that very thick bush, was we just hopscotched in front of him. Leopard are a little bit more routine-like in that fashion, and that they also like to walk in straight lines. Now, I haven't been around, even though I've been doing this for so long, I haven't been around that many leopard that I'd be able to tell you what they do with cubs, and especially cubs that old. I don't know exactly. Do leopard walk in straight lines with their cubs? Do they like to walk zigzags with their cubs? I'm not too sure. That is something that I don't really know, but she hasn't come out here heading straight from where her tracks last were to the water. They're also not water dependent. Both leopard and lion can actually go without water, getting enough moisture from the food that they eat. And she, of course, would still be supplementing the feed from while we drive, leopards not stick together like lions do. Mike, it's got simply to do with the prey that lion and leopard eat. The cats as a whole, except for lions, are all solitary hunters, and they are able to catch prey up to and a little bit over their own body weights, with the exception every now and again being, for instance, a leopard killing a full-grown kudu, or I've even heard of leopard taking on giraffe, with the exception of that. But as the sort of predator-prey arms race at the larger end of the scale starts to increase and prey starts putting on more weight and getting faster, it's not feasible for a predator to gain more weight. Currently, the tigers are the heaviest cats on the planet. You're looking at a big tiger weighing anywhere up to 350 kilograms and a big male lion weighing up to 250 kilograms. And then you've got prey that they hunt anywhere from 50 kilograms all the way up to 500 kilograms. You're looking at a buffalo 800 kilograms or 1,600 pounds. There are even some lion prides that hunt elephant. And this is where it gets interesting. Rather than a male lion turning into a 500 kilogram cat that wouldn't be able to move around or hunt effectively or basically be able to do any of those things, a 500 kilogram cat that needs to catch a 500 kilogram buffalo, for instance, splits into two cats. And as prey gets bigger and as pride sizes need to increase because of whatever prey is prevalent in that particular area, so you find the numbers of lions increasing as well. So where there's prey of a certain minimum weight, that for instance a lot of kudu or a lot of zebra, you don't find large lion prides. But where you find a lot of buffalo and heavy boned antelope, buffalo, and I'm talking about things like elephant, lion prides can reach massive numbers, up to 40 individuals. Some lion prides in the Chobe, I've even heard up to 50 and over individuals. And that's because it just simply is the most efficient way to hunt large prey. And that is why lions have basically become these cooperative hunters. Although there's a lot of speculation as to how cooperative lions actually are. Do they hunt together as a cohesive unit that set ambushes and each one plans sort of as part of a whole? Or is it just each individual cat making for the best path that they can? You know, and each one basically just taking up whatever position that they feel best or uncompeted. Alright. So, we have our first clue as to where Karula is. And I'm going to try and fit the dots together over here while I tell you. Here's her track here, relatively fresh. This is a female leopard track, and I must say, fresh enough for us to warrant following. Now, these tracks are not with cubs. Let me just double check over here and see. No, just a female, and on top of buffalo and on top of zebra. So what I'm deciding has happened. Yesterday afternoon, Karula came in this direction with her 2 cubs and went for a drink, but stashing her cubs somewhere in here. These tracks are of her going back to where she left her cubs. And I'm convinced now that her cubs are somewhere in this particular block, behind where you are facing me now, somewhere in here. And there's a good chance that she was fetching her cubs to a kill. Leopards quite often do that, is they'll go and fetch their cubs to a kill, leave their cubs in that vicinity, go and drink at water and go back again. And that is what I think has happened now. So this is a very, very good opportunity. Excuse me, just swatting at the flies that I have buzzing around my head that drive me insane. But she's walked from that side. Here we go. Here you can see her tracks. Yeah, and if I put my head down and I follow where these tracks are going, here they walk across here. Here she's walking here. I've got some more tracks here. I've got some more tracks here. And they head underneath this bush in this direction. And that's exactly where we are going to see if we can go. So what I think we do is let's go down back to Philemon's Dip and see if she doesn't come out on that side, just to make sure that our hyenas haven't stolen that kill from her. But these are definitely fresh enough to follow. Alright. Ooh, this fly. There's nothing in a fly. I think if I had to pay a fly one compliment is they are tenacious. Alright, we're going to go up here now. And we're going to go down Philemon's Dip relatively slowly so that I can make sure that her tracks don't cross over again onto that side. To do that, we're going to send you over to Jamie, who's coming into this area to try and give us a hand, see if we can find her.
So while Steph makes his way towards Philemon's Dip, that Dave recently renamed while he was on one of my drives as Icicle Dip, because it's the coldest place on Djuma, we're going to go and check out the southern boundary just to help Steph out. If we do happen upon Karula, I feel though it is entirely only fair if we hand that sighting over to Steph if we do find her. We're just going to make sure we're basically there as backup, to help him out, make sure she hasn't crossed, and so on. 2 eyes better than, or actually it's 4 sets of eyes are better than 2. I'm still absolutely riding the high of that incredible cub sighting, with Mom picking up the cub, carrying it around. Oh, just so magical. And then to add to the mix, a narrow escape on behalf of that Franklin. That whole sighting has just washed away the cobwebs of a relatively sleepless night. And I'm feeling thoroughly wide awake now. Oh, off we go in search of leopards. We've had lion cubs, let's go find some leopard cubs. There's so many exciting things happening at the moment out in the African winter's bush. Okay. Now, whenever we see leopards, one of the things that we try and do is, if they deposit some scat upon the road in front of us or wherever they happen to be in the sighting, the one thing we do is we try and collect it, put it in a vial and send that through to an organization called Panthera. And we do that so that they can do DNA tests and examine the paternity of the different leopards. So really, really exciting project, awesome to see. I'm so cross with myself that I didn't realize that Shadow's cub had actually defecated in front of us, because I went back and the scat was already gone. Just such a pity, but that's okay, we'll have plenty of opportunities to collect it. However, Shamson has asked a question that I'm not totally qualified to answer, but I can to an extent, and that is if I can tell you a bit more about the organization Panthera and a bit more about the work that they do. So essentially, from what I understand, and I've worked with different Panthera projects, I haven't got an idea of the project as a whole, but from what I understand, they're a big cat research, obviously the name Panthera, big cat research company that is American based, and what they do is they research big cats all across the world. Now here in South Africa, they play a very, very important role in monitoring of leopards. I spoke yesterday about the leopard population and the fact that we have no idea what the total population is in an area like the Lowveld. We know the Sabi Sand we're pretty much on top of. We know the individual leopards, they've been very well habituated. There are places where we have no idea. So what Panthera does is they provide sponsorship and support to individual researchers who are in the process of doing their PhDs or whatever it happens to be, big studies on cats. They provide them with things like camera traps, motion censored cameras, as well as incredible software that is like facial recognition but for spot patterns, and essentially flips through all of the photos. And I'm talking, Emma and I sifted through 32,000 photographs when we worked with Panthera for 3 months 1 year. And I know that is something that Emma's still doing where I used to work, sifting through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands, identifying, okay, there's a wildebeest, put in the wildebeest pile, hyena pile, so on and so forth. So that was just in one area. 100 camera traps, one on each hyena, one on each side of a spot so that you get both sides of the leopard. And we got some amazing photos out of it. We got honey badgers walking past, a hyena with another hyena's head in its mouth. Incredible stuff, as well as of course the leopards. And what they do with that is they then calculate the overall population, and they go to things like hunting organizations and say, stop issuing permits for hunting leopards because we don't have as many leopards as we think we do, and that sort of thing. So they're really, really valuable research. Then of course there's the DNA project that they're doing, which is going to give us a much better understanding of the way that leopard paternity works. I'm particularly excited about that. I think it's going to be fascinating. We can't expect results anytime soon. Projects like this take years to finalize and to publish and to make available to the public, but it will happen. And the Panthera essentially provides that level of support in big cat studies. Now I'm sure that there is lots more that they do. Now I'm not familiar with all of their projects, but I know that they do do a huge amount of good in terms of increasing our knowledge and understanding of the big cats around the world, but particularly here in South Africa. And that's just a little bit of a background on the organization Panthera. We also log every sighting that we have with wild dogs, ground hornbills, cheetah, any of the big cats. That all goes into their system as well, because not only do they help with big cats, but they make their technology available in terms of the monitoring of other species as well. An incredibly positive organization, and really practical good, rather than just throwing money at a potential problem. What's happening here? What have we seen? Are we looking at a roller in the... Presumably not. That would be into the sun for the guests. Have they found leopard tracks, I wonder? Let's slowly inch forward. I don't want to affect their sighting in any way. Sorry guys, hold on 1 second. Sorry stations, didn't mean to bump a sighting. What's here? Okay, copy. Can I come past and then I'll join the lineup? Copy, thanks. Bumped a sighting! Surprise, surprise! Copy that. I'm just going to come past and then I will pull out straight away. Cool, guys. So we've got a standby 2 position for the sighting, but they have very kindly said that we can come through and just have a quick look at what it is they are looking at. Where are we looking, guys? Where am I looking? Am I being silly? Oh, Karula. She's on the termite mound there. It's going to be a very difficult view. She is south of our boundary, unfortunately. Chad, can you see her there on the edge of the termite mound? Ooh. There we go. That looks like Karula to me. Oh, it's difficult to tell. And we're just giving you a quick view. We can't stay because we've actually bumped the sighting. So what that means is we've come through by accident. They've just found her, and there are other vehicles that are making their way in. So what we've done is we've joined a lineup in order to see her. So we can't stay, we will have to go. But just a quick glimpse of the lovely Karula. Sorry, Steph. I think it's her. I can't be 100% sure. Actually, hold on. Is this a female? I can't tell. I definitely can't tell who we've got here. Sorry, I jumped to conclusions a bit quickly, but I actually can't see. I think it's her. Looks like, you know, it sounds ridiculous. Looks like the back of her head. Okay. Hopefully she doesn't decide to go further south. We are on the south of our boundary. Okay, awesome. Very, very cool. She's looking south, which is unfortunate. I'm just trying to gauge size from where I am. I think it is Karula. I do think it is Karula. I'll find out from the other guides. I have to pull out of the sighting now because, as I said, we've bumped it. So we'll move out again and we will take our place in the queue. But I think, unfortunately, this might be the last view that we have of her, because I think she's going to go south. She's going to go away from us. And that's very nice to know exactly where she is. She's probably left her cubs somewhere on Djuma. There's still that possibility, but she's clearly hunting, resting in the shade of the termite mound. But her body language says to me she's looking for something. Hopefully she decides to catch something on our side Not that we... she can catch things wherever she wants to. Obviously the animals don't recognize our boundaries. But I think that will be... I think let's have one last look, because I don't think we're going to see her again. I'll try move... I can't move, I'm afraid. I think if we go forward, we're going to put the branches in the way. Standing by. Okay, copy that. Thank you very much. Hey, we've got a place, guys. We don't have to go away. Thanks very much. Oh, it's Shanae, guys. Driving past us. She's obviously with a new guide for Coral. There we go. Oh, Steph, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to steal your sighting. Definitely not what I intended to do. There. But it does give us an opportunity to watch her before she disappears. I hope she doesn't disappear before the next vehicle gets here, because they won't be able to find her again knowing Karula. Right, let's just confirm, is it her? This area, it is most likely. Hello, girl. What do we think of... Oh, yes. No, that's her. That's definitely her, right? I'm not going crazy. Watching the approach of another vehicle. So this is a tricky position for us to be in, so we're going to have to do some repositioning here. Let me just chat to who have we got approaching here. Yeah, let me just move out of the way here, and they can come and get a different view. Oh, she's looking to the south. I think she is going to go in there. How's it? Sorry. Good, thanks. How are you? Looks like she's going to head south.
Yeah.
Cool. Sorry, I'm blocking your way.
No, it's alright. I'm going to try and stay with it because everyone can see her as well.
Okay, perfect. Okay, no problem. Let me reposition slightly. Oh, the joys of a sighting on a main road. Okay, hold on everybody. We're just going to try and reposition to make sure everybody can get a view. It's a very tricky spot. Shame, and the guide very kindly says he doesn't want to push her further south where we can't see her. Oh goodness. No, we're causing a serious traffic jam here. Right, we're pulling out everybody. There's lots of vehicles here. There's a little bit of... I'm not talking game drive vehicles, I'm talking chaos in terms of moving out for other vehicles. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pull out of this situation and leave the guys to it. It's definitely getting more complex than anticipated. So while we sort this out, let's go across to Steph for an update.
Don't you just love sightings on boundaries between properties that don't share the same traverse? It is this delicious chaos that develops, and everyone takes it so seriously instead of just getting down and enjoying the sighting. But anyway, that's the way it is out here, and that's part of why we find so many good sightings, is because we got this really interconnected network of really skilled field guides and the associated trackers, and we're all helping one another to unravel. All unraveling the mystery that is the movements of animals out here. And as you saw from that male lion a little bit earlier today, and now from Karula, things are crossing boundaries all the time, coming across, moving in, moving out, and it's what makes it so exciting, is that we get these new characters, so to say, from time to time that spice up our lives. How boring would it be if we just had at the click of a finger or at the click of a switch we could show you whatever was out there? we'd be bleeding through a lot more presenters, I presume. Oh, it's been a lovely morning today, I must be honest with you. Started off a little bit crisp. It feels like there's this dampness or this heaviness in the air from something. I don't quite know if there's a cold front or two on the way. It's very common around this time of the year to have these cold fronts move up from the Western Cape, slide off of the Drakensberg and create a little bit of turmoil here. Here we have a group of dwarf mongoose sunning themselves on this termitarium. Excuse me while I just answer the radio for Jamie. Of the animals that we found out here, what they're doing now is they've spent the night in that termite mound, nice and safe and secluded in their little burrows, and they are sunning themselves, which is a common activity for dwarf mongoose to do on a morning like this. And you can see from young to old, all related. It's one family. An alpha pair are the ones that have the babies. And as the babies reach maturity, when they move through adolescence, they will then move off and look for their own females that are doing the same thing to start their own families. You can see that termite mound is just basically a hive of activity of the moment. Easily I can count 10 to 12 of them. They'll start getting moving now. Cover a few hectares. Couple of 100 yards in either direction they'll be foraging for, and they're busy looking for insects. They will eat anything from beetles to scorpions, spiders to termites, centipedes. I don't think they eat millipedes unless it's the only insect that's available. But definitely everything else. Even small snakes. But right now they're just enjoying each other's company and enjoying the warmth of the sun. Stretched out. Now because they're so gregarious, because they're so, I would almost say to a point they're even quite aggressive, they don't seem to get bothered by cars at all. And we're finding that little mongoose clans, like this particular one that actually live in close proximity to our camps, get very relaxed. I know on occasion when I walk through the camp there's a mongoose clan that likes to raid the dustbins around camp, and I've been within a couple of feet of them without them giving me the slightest bit of attention. Definitely one of my favorites. Absolutely. Now, Michael, you've asked me a question, how long does it take to habituate an animal? Michael, that's actually a very, very good question, because it's not a very easy answer. It's a game of give and take, really. It's a game mainly of respect, where you try and establish boundaries, and because you're not working with food as a reward like you would when you're dealing with dogs or cats, you're not working with a clicker, you're literally just doing it based on animal behavior, with you being biased towards the animal. You obviously, these are not trained animals, they're not in any way, we don't alter their behavior. This is completely wild. And because we try and be biased towards these particular animals, it can sometimes take quite a long time. And because the borders are open, they're porous here, you get animals that have never seen vehicles, have never seen cars, coming in quite often and upsetting that balance, in particular with elephant and lion and leopard. We see that those animals, they're coming from a place that doesn't have vehicles, and very often you find they come with some habits. Charging the vehicles is probably the most common of the bad behaviors that we see, and quite often the only way that you can get rid of that is by staying in close proximity to that animal. And I remember quite fondly a time when I was a bit younger. We had a male lion come in from the Kruger National Park, and he took about a year to stop charging the cars. I mean, he was seeing over a 3-hour game drive probably up to about 10 vehicles, and then we'd leave him alone for the day, and then that afternoon he'd be seen again, or we'd find him again and he'd see another 5 or 10 vehicles, and without doubt at least once during the day he'd get up and he'd chase a car full of guests or chase a ranger. And I tell you, the apprehension and anxiety that I used to feel going into these sightings with that particular cat was something incredible. You knew you were going to get charged, you just didn't know when or to who it was going to happen next. Definitely adds a spice. Leopard, being far more intelligent than lion, can sometimes not get rid of a bad behavior trait. You just sometimes find that these cats develop a bad attitude because of an experience that they've had somewhere along the line. And quite often these particular animals we won't allow any vehicles close to. I remember a sighting once of a male we used to call the double M male. He had an M spot pattern on his head, and eventually we just stopped seeing this particular male leopard for about 6 months. We just made it a sighting, a negative sighting we call it here. And that was just to give this cat the time he needed to get over his particular affinity for wanting to charge cars. We actually thought that he was going to jump into a car. He used to charge right up to the bull bar, almost knocking the trackers flat, and then disappear and come rushing out of the bushes again. A very, very bad habit. And in that case, where you can't get respect from that animal, where you can't generate that boundary, we leave them alone. This is how we do it out here. Luckily, I haven't had anything to do with any of those types of animals since I've been at Djuma, which is lucky. One of Karula's sons, actually, Djuma, was well known for charging cars on occasion, and I have seen Karula, when she was pregnant, hiss at cars, giving them a bit of a warning that they are overstepping their welcome, really. That being said, we share the lives of these animals very intimately. Out of a 24-hour day, they're hearing cars driving around here for 6 or 7 hours a day. It's not a lot, but it tends to be in the prime moving times of when these animals are moving about, and quite often they have vehicles attending them. And if you watch the show long enough, you'll absolutely learn about how we do that, how we pick which animal to do what to in terms of following. Always with the full respect going to the animal, not the other way around. We don't let them alter their behavior for us. They dictate exactly how we behave. They look like they're upset that day, we leave them alone, give them a bit more space. Now you might ask me, what am I swiveling my head around for so much? Now that we know that Karula is with Jamie on Gowrie Main, and that following those particular tracks we're probably going to lead us nowhere, we did find some male leopard tracks, which I feel can probably only be Mvula's tracks crossing Philemon's Dip in this particular line. And since we've already gone on to Zoe's to go and have a look, I don't think that he's come out here yet. I think that he's still somewhere around here. The tracks were fresh from last night, but he would have moved away from that kill, gone for a drink at the pan at some point, and then carried on moving. And it looks like from the direction of those tracks that he is moving south and west all the way back to Arathusa. Have a look at this waterbuck here. Beautiful, one of the larger antelope species that we have out here, quite common. A grass-eating antelope, the common waterbuck, with that very bold circle on the rump. And you only find this waterbuck south of the Zambezi River. After that, you get the Defassa waterbuck, which becomes a little bit more common. And that doesn't have the very bold ring on its behind. It has a more washed out circle, more like a blaze rather than a circle like that. And that, of course, is a following mechanism. Each waterbuck has it, and the babies, when in danger, put that round circle in their vision and just follow that, and follow mom or follow the rest of the herd away from danger. Called a following mechanism. Excuse us for just keeping quiet. Absolutely right. Jean just heard alarm calls of some impala off on our right hand side. Exactly where we had those fresh tracks of Mvula. Let's go back there. He's going to take us to turn around and go back again. That's obviously what we term this bush newspaper. The bush is busy telling us something. There's a predator about. An impala's seen it. And let's see. We'll turn around here. It is on the other side of the drainage line that comes from quarantine. And I'm just in my mind now trying to picture where was the last time I saw an impala and what does the terrain look like there? Where are we most likely to find this particular animal that's disturbing these impala? Now, Brent is well known for charging off, and he has a very good hit rate for finding animals like that. Myself, I don't know, I put it down to me not wanting to drive these cars into the ground, I think. And I leave those types of pursuits to Brent, who's very, very good at it. Let's go up here. Now, impala will not call for too long. They normally only call for a minute or two. And whatever was disturbing them would then move off. But it does give you a window and an opportunity to see exactly where this animal may have moved. And the hope is that these impala would still be blowing or making that alarm snort at whatever this animal is by the time we get there. So now we're going to cross the drainage line. That was a barrier to us on that side. And using my knowledge of the terrain, we're going to see if we can place ourselves exactly where we think that alarm call was coming from. Now, there is an impala herd that lives on quarantine. And it seems like it'd be one of those. This area here, just in front of us, would be where I think this impala was calling from. So we're just going to drive a little bit more forward, and then we're going to stop and we're going to switch off the car and we're going to listen. I just want to get onto the crest so it gives us the full benefit of the crest. There's a bit of a tightrope here because we may switch off the vehicle and hear nothing. Let's switch off here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to listen carefully and see if there's a hope that we pick up the alarm calls of these animals. Such a difficult game, a guessing game, deciding where these alarm calls come from. I think that we're almost directly opposite where that alarm call was coming from. My gut feel's telling me that it was inside these trees here where you're looking right now. That is my gut feel of where I think these alarm calls were coming from. That waterbuck that we were looking at was right into that bush on the other side of the drainage line. Alarm calls have stopped. There's no doubt about that. So I think what we're going to do think what we're going to do is we're going to go around the corner here and see if we don't pick up some of these impala. They would have moved off, run away, hopefully, from this disturbance. And while it gives me some time to stick my tongue out my side of my mouth and listen and concentrate intently, I'm going to send you over to Jamie, who's got an update for you on that Karula sighting.
It is really, really exciting. Fingers crossed Steph manages to find whatever's upset those impala so much. Alright, stopping to look at a more unusual track. I'm going to show you it in a moment. Then my update is that I have found, I think, where Karula's cubs are, where she's left them on Djuma. It looks as though from their tracks they are around the old quarry area. I'm not going to go tromping in there because they are all on their own. The times that we've actually approached Karula's cubs when Mom hasn't been with them, they've been right on the edge of a road, so we haven't needed to go off-road to see them. So I'm just going to leave them be for now, and hopefully Karula decides to come back onto our side. Now, on Twin Dams Road, we have an interesting track to show you. I'm going to jump out to show you what I mean. And Gert, let me know if they want a quick link over to Steph and his whatever exciting is happening there. So never fear, even though I don't have my earpiece in, I will be able to send you back across. What we're looking at is this line in the sand here. Now this is made very clearly by a creature that you often see if you're watching the dam cam. Now I know that the dam cam's not working at the moment, but it's something that we regularly see. And it's amazing because we often track this particular, well, I don't know if it's the same individual. We often track him all the way from the Twin Dams Road right up to the Voyatella Dam, which is a distance of probably about 2 kilometers and just over a mile. And it is a track made by an animal called a monitor lizard, a very, very big lizard. His footprints are here on the edge of his track. It's very difficult to see, sort of fingers extending out, reptilian fingers, and he walks in a very, very uniform swing to his tail. So it's kind of almost like a regular, like a snake track, except for the fact that there are tracks on either side of it. Now, if this were a snake track, if a snake about this wide would have a track that would do this, so it would have, the curves would be much, the twist would be much tighter. So that's one of the big ways that you can tell the difference between just seeing a track like that straight away. You immediately know it's not a snake. It's also, this is very deeply grooved. It's very difficult for you guys to see, but this track is very deeply grooved, and that's made by the leguavan's tail. We call them a leguavan in South Africa. They are rock monitor lizards. Now that's what we're looking at there. And it's just interesting. It's the sort of thing that we register on a daily basis. It's just how far they can walk. One of those things that fascinates us as guides. I've parked at such an angle I have to heft myself back into the car. Sometimes it's tricky being short. Let's just grab a book quickly and make sure my earpiece is in case something marvelous happens. Oh, hold on. And somebody's trying to call me. Good timing. Standing by. Oh. Looking for a picture for you to show you, but I'm taking forever to find them. You know what? Sometimes the index is a useful thing to use. There we go. 210. So this is the animal that we are looking at the tracks of. A very, very big lizard species. A rock monitor or a water monitor. I don't know which one it would be. Impossible to tell by their tracks. A large, very large, our largest lizard species. And the second largest in southern Africa. Okay. Let's pop that down. Our station's Karula, crossed south just to the east of Shabam Road Junction on Gowrie Main. I think she's left the Bantuans somewhere here. I saw tracks going in around Treehouse Road towards the quarry, but I haven't followed up. Copy that. And yes, Sean, while Karula deposits her offspring in a safe place, it is the natural instinct that keeps them from roaming too far away from wherever she's put them. As they get older, they will roam further and further afield, but not a huge amount, so they'll always be in the general vicinity so that they can respond to her calls immediately whenever she goes back to fetch them. That being said, whilst that natural instinct does act very clearly in the cubs, I have seen female leopards and lions turn around and I can only describe it as admonishing their little ones. If they keep trying and follow them, they'll actually bat them or sort of smack them with their paw or growl or hiss at them to stop them from following. So sometimes they have to be very firm. Sorry guys, Ephraim is frantically trying to get hold of me. Standing by. Copy that. Thanks very much, Ephraim. I'm probably not going to follow up, but I'm sure she could be going to fish those buntwans from around the quarry. I'll make my way back towards that area. Copy, thanks. And Ephraim just telling me that thanks very much, Ephraim. Have a good day. Alright. So Ephraim just telling me that apparently the guides are reporting that Karula's turned back towards the north and she might be coming back towards Gowrie Main once again. I think she's just hunting. I think she's just moving around. She won't have caught, well, she might have. It's unlikely that she caught something in the time period that from when we've last seen her till now, but it might be worth patrolling the boundary for the last few moments of the sunrise safari and just checking to see whether or not there's any sign of her. Unfortunately, I'm now quite far away from there. I didn't expect her to turn north, but it just goes to show with Karula you never try and predict what she's going to do. So Sean, in South Africa, I do hope that answered your question about cubs and their instincts. As I said, I've seen cats hiss at their cubs to keep them in one place, but as soon as she's out of sight, then I think that the cubs instinctively relax and stay put. Now what I've been doing is I've actually been checking the spots where Karula has left her cubs before, because I believe that they have regular places that they'll leave their cubs. It makes utmost sense to me that she knows there's certain safe spots and that's where she'll deposit them. Now it seems to me to make sense that she might do that. And also I think for the cubs it's easier for them to stay put if they are familiar with an area, which mean, and that in turn will mean they know the escape routes, they know... Ooh. Hello boy. Here you go, Gert, there was a water buck for you. And off he goes. Beautiful young bull. Unfortunately, he's almost immediately disappeared. Just the white ring around his bottom disappearing. I'm sure you are all wondering about what step... Start that whole sentence again. I am sure you are all wondering what is happening with Steph. Let's go and hear it from the man himself.
Not much is happening to me, to be quite honest. Welcome back to our vehicle. We stood by in that area looking for those alarm calls. There's no more sign of alarm calls coming from there. We had a little squirrel making an alarm call and a goshawk flew out of the bush. Now that's absolutely not what was making the impala alarm call. I have no doubt that there was some disturbance in there that is potentially due to the fact that there's a large male leopard in the particular area. But without more tracks, it becomes quite difficult to say. It all becomes a bit of speculation. So what we've done is just return to our original plan and see if we can't see an area where tracks of that big male leopard come out of this particular block. And basically it's just a hit or miss. It just becomes a patience game. Alright. But what I am going to do is take this opportunity to say goodbye, which will leave us with some extra tracking time. If we do find this particular male leopard, we'll absolutely come back and show you in the closing minutes of this particular show. I just want to say thank you from myself, Steph Winterboer, and from Jean-Ray on the back of the car. Thanks for all your interesting questions and all the support that you give us. And from my side, at least anyway, for this morning's game drive, goodbye. Have a nice day.
While we come through to the end of our sunrise safari, it seems, I've been listening to the Game Drive channel, it seems as though for now Karula has gone wandering off to the south once again. But as I said, there's a... Oh my goodness! We nearly had a car accident, mister! He's grinning away. Thought that was marvelously good fun. Cheers, guys! Sure. That was quite close. I don't think he saw me there. I'm getting out of this place in case there's more to follow. Goodness me. Interesting. Anyway, moving on from our near car accident and near death experience, not quite, slight exaggeration, hopefully Karula decides to move to the north at some time during either the middle of the day or during the sunset safari. So tracks are all over here. I've just been looking at them, and I know Steph's shown them to you, so I'm not going to stop and look again. Go Shamson, who's been listening closely to our guide lingo and learning meanings. Mapimpans means little ones. Yes, there's a bit of confusion about what Mapimpans actually means, or in fact what language it is, but Mapimpans, yes, baby. Bantwans, cubs. Or sons, babies. It's not really sons, it's babies as well. Yes, Shkova is a ditch, or what we refer to as a drainage line, but it is essentially a ditch. Shedulu is a termite mound. So one I've caught you out on. A Shedulu is a termite mound, but I know why you said that, because I got it wrong on the Game Drive channel 2 days ago. I called a tree a Shedulu, and I was wrong. And it is not a Shedulu is a termite mound. It came out of my mouth faster than I could control it, which often happens when you're trying to present, listen, and talk at the same time, and watch the animal. A shlashla actually. A shlashla is a tree, or a branch, or something similar. So if the leopard is in a tree, it's in a shlashla. If it's on a termite mound, it's on a shudulu. If it's in the ditch, it's in a shkoba. And the leopard is an ingwe, and I really shouldn't be telling you all of this because it's giving you far too much insight into all of our secrets. We'll end up giving away a surprise every now and again. But yes, you are absolutely right, very observant and very well done. I think most of our long-term viewers are starting to, or have actually, pretty much learnt all of the names for the animals and our guide lingo. And apparently we all talk in completely different voices on the Game Drive channel as well, which is an interesting aspect of our personalities. We go far more South African accent on the Game Drive channel. It is the way forward though. Make yourself understood. Alright, well, I'm going to return to the somewhat traumatized main camp and see whether or not how the cleanup operation is going. Perhaps attempt to fix the gate. And while we head back across, don't forget to join us for the Sunset Safari. It's time for us to do our goodbyes and thank yous. So thank you to Gert for his good luck streak A and B, his wonderful camera work, as well as to Rebecca and Lou in final control. And most importantly, a very big thank you to all of you watching across the globe. I hope you've had a fantastic morning drive with us, and we will catch you again this afternoon. Bye bye everybody, see you then.